Hey guys, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, and this is the second episode of our Second Amendment talk. I have my Glock 43 locked and loaded, and I am prepared to defend my territory. Ooh, if it's making any of you out there nervous, too bad. Hang on, we'll be right back. Well, folks, it's God's Comic Brad Stine, always giving you information you couldn't get from anybody else because I'm a genius. Well, what makes me a genius is I bring on other geniuses to help me, especially my partner, Rick Green, the America's Constitution coach, and he and I do touring all around the country on the Comedy Constitution tour. Rick, how are you doing, and how can I help you today?
Man, just having me here is helping me because I always get smarter when I talk to you, Brad. It's like the genius just rubs off.
That, or you realize how stupid I am, that it's not hard to go a bit higher.
No, I just feel like I'm subpar genius. You're a genius level. I'm working on it.
Well, I would never say that. I would, but I just do it off camera. Well, listen, I am so glad to have you. I always love talking to you about the Constitution. I'm so proud guys like you exist to remind us about what the Constitution means and why it's so important and why so many Americans don't really understand their rights and they don't put them into play. Now, we're talking, and let's get right into it because it always goes fast, the Second Amendment. It's so crucial, we know. And I think even people that have a problem with guns realize you got to defend yourself. I mean, wars have always happened. They're never going to stop. That's the way it works. And so when it comes to the Second Amendment, earlier we talked about the founders, would they have taken into consideration the technology? But this is one thing that I hear a lot of. And what we're hearing is politicians, virtue signaling, of course, trying to pretend that they can fix something that nobody can fix so they get votes. But here's the problem a lot of people are having. They say, listen, if we got to have guns, oh well, but we certainly don't need. I love when somebody tells me what I need or don't need, like it's any of their business. Right. But I don't need an assault weapon. I don't know of any weapon that shoots people that isn't rather assaulting, but apparently there's a different category of assaulting. 2, a military-style weapon. And 3, an AR-15. So let's just be honest. Let's be real. Let's try to be balanced. So these are serious weapons, certainly not for hunting, but as you said in the first episode, hunting had nothing to do with it. I'm a free citizen. If I want to have a gun that shoots a bunch of rounds, so what? But is there, we've talked about amending the Constitution. We've talked about sometimes freedoms are precarious. Is there anything about those issues, these particular types of weapons, that you feel is difficult to sort of, as a conservative and as a Second Amendment advocate, justifying that a citizen can own?
Again, going back to the principle first, you alluded to it right at the beginning. I mean, the Second Amendment is what protects all the others. The founders referred to it as the palladium of our freedoms. It is the security, and they also referred to it as the first law of nature, meaning, outside of the Constitution, your nature is to protect your family, to protect yourself. So if somebody attacks, you should have the ability to defend and respond. And so the level of weapon has everything to do with what do you need to defend yourself and fight back. If the purpose of the Second Amendment, as we established in the previous episode, is 1, to keep a tyrannical government at bay, that the American people could fight back if the government became a tyrannical government, and 2, to be able to defend yourself in the moment should your family be attacked, which happens 1.2 million times a year in America. There's some sort of violent crime taking place, and it happens in communities like yours and communities like mine, so we have to be cognizant of this. I used to dismiss it and say, it won't happen to me, it won't happen to my family. It does happen to families just like ours every day. So if that's the purpose of the Second Amendment, then the type of weapon does matter. Some people say to these things you were bringing up, you don't need weapons of war. You might need your shotgun to shoot a duck somewhere, but you don't need weapons of war. Well, again, it's not about hunting. It is about being able to fight back. And what they refer to as a weapon of war is interesting. You said assault weapon. What is an assault weapon, right? Every weapon is some kind of assault. Like you said, what is a weapon of war? A knife is a weapon of war, right? A fist is a weapon of war. I think what they really mean is, should you be able to have an automatic weapon, let's say? Well, let's take that issue. Do you realize that none of the mass shootings in America have used the automatic weapons, 50,000 permits that have been given by the federal government for automatic weapons out there that individual private citizens, non-government actors have, and none of them have been used to commit any of these heinous crimes. These heinous crimes are being committed with shotguns, with handguns, with AR15s and AK-47s that aren't automatic. They're just single. You press a you got to keep pressing the trigger. So let's be realistic about what people are afraid of. What they're afraid of, and I understand that. If you don't know guns and you just see a mass shooting, you say, I don't want that to happen in my backyard. They're afraid of a crazy guy coming in and being able to kill a lot of people before they can be stopped. Well, the way to stop the bad guy that has a weapon, no matter what that weapon is to have a weapon like theirs or close enough to theirs to be able to stop them, to meet force with force. That's what is absolutely necessary. There was a shooting in not far from my house, actually, about an hour and a half from my house at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, where the bad guy had body armor. He had all kinds of weapons. He had even a SWAT helmet. The only way he was stopped was by a citizen with an AR-15, what some people would try to call an assault weapon. All these terms mean different things to different people. And the bad guy was stopped because a good guy had a weapon like that and able to stop the bad guy. Joe Biden, former, I love saying former, Vice President of the United States, said that the good guy should not have been allowed to have that assault weapon, quote unquote assault weapon.
So after he saved this group, he still said he shouldn't have had that access.
Yeah. Bad guy had already killed 26, was going to kill another 27 in that church, was literally walking aisle by aisle and executing them. And then he had a car full of more that he was going to go to another church and kill as many people there as he could. He was stopped by the good guy because the good guy had that AR-15, was trained with it, was an NRA instructor. He knew, he had done the training, Brad, like you and I do, going out to front sight and places like that. He had invested the time to be ready to defend his family. And so Stephen Williford was able to be a hero that day and save those other 27 lives in that church and umpteen others, how many we don't know, that would have been killed if he hadn't stepped forward with that AR-15. But see, the leftists, the progressives, all they can see is the weapon. And they blame the weapon instead of saying who's using the weapon. Why do you think London now, with all of its gun control, is now talking about knife control? Yeah. Because they have a mass of murders. The problem is murder. The problem is the heart. The problem is not the weapon. The Second Amendment protects whatever weapon you need to be able to fight back against whatever evil is infringing.
But is there anything to the fact that they would point to Australia? They did the buyback. Their citizens apparently have much less access to them. London, like you said, there are countries, European countries, that the citizens don't have weapons and they don't have mass shootings. Maybe so. Do they have a case to say, well, at least maybe they've lost the right to own a weapon, but look, at least not 50 people are dying in Walmart, so maybe it's worth the trade-off. So how do you deal with that?
First of all, I don't agree with the presupposition that nations that pass those gun control laws don't have murder and don't have.
But like at the level that a semi-automatic can do, and that's what they're saying, that you can kill somebody so quickly that's the problem. It's not
Yeah. Okay. So even if I gave you that presupposition, then we would have to say, okay, well, how do we address this in America, where there are 200 million guns out there, and how do you get all of the guns? You don't. There's just no physical way to do it. You're never going to rid America of the guns, and I would argue you haven't done that in Australia either, and you do still have murder in Australia. But let's just say in America, for instance, it won't work. You just simply cannot get rid of the guns. And why would you? The gun is not the problem. It's the heart of man. It's the individual. What you need, if people want to stop these mass shootings, if they want to stop the bad guy from being able to kill dozens of people at once, then it's time for us to do something about it. And the thing to do about it is arm more citizens, train more citizens, and make sure that in every community in America, there is someone in every store that has been trained, just happens to be there shopping, and they are prepared for that moment and able to stop that crazy guy in the moment. Every time we've stopped them, it's been because we've stopped them before this guy in El Paso, he was able to kill 20-something people and then get in his car and drive away, because by the time he got there, and even when the cops were there, he was able to get away. You got to have citizens armed and ready to stop the person in the moment.
Well, and obviously they're saying, well, there's so many guns around that it's too easy for somebody to grab it and go shoot somebody. And really, I guess in some odd way, they would be right. If we could literally make every single gun in America disappear, if we really could do that, which you can't, I guess there wouldn't be a bunch of mass shootings. There'd be no guns. I guess that would be true. But the problem is, the reality is,
there would be mass cars being used.
Right.
People. There would be other weapons used. No matter what weapon you get away from, the crazy guy that's bent on that is to find some other weapon to use. Look in Chicago, how many people have been killed this year? Look, the same weekend that the El Paso thing happened in Texas, the very next week, a guy used a knife to kill, I think it was 5 or 6 people. And they called it evil because it is evil. It's not the weapon. It's the evil of the individual.
Right. And the truth is, like I said, you can't make all of the guns vanish. They see life in a utopian manner that they all disappeared, we'd be nice to each other. But the problem is, I've even said at times, if you could guarantee me that nobody would ever shoot another human being on the face of the earth if I gave you up my guns, if that could be guaranteed, maybe I'd consider it. But you can't, because no matter what happens, the bad guy will always have access to ways to kill you, because that's why they're bad. Rick, you're not bad. You're a good guy, and you have lots of guns. But we got to get out of here.
Hey, let's get more people trained, Brad. Let's tell them to come with you and with me. Let's go together. You go to Front Sight with me, and you invite your folks so people watch your Brad Stine emails. You're going to get some invitations, and you can come train with us, even if you've never touched a gun.
Right.
And if you're that person that's afraid of them, we're going to show you the proper use of it and show you how to defend yourself.
Yeah, well, in November, we're planning on getting together at Front Sight, and people can come and be with us, and we might even have some surprise guests to go there. But it teaches you, and especially if you've never shot a gun, how to be safe, how to feel comfortable with it, and feel like I can protect my family. God bless you, Rick. God bless you for coming on. We'll be back later, but thank you for the Second Amendment refresher course. And remember, folks, if you don't want to defend yourself, don't worry. I'll do it for you, because I guess I'm better than you. Or at least I have my senses about me. And I know that we need to be able to protect ourselves from the crazy people. And maybe that's you. We'll see. God bless you. See you. Bye-bye. Hey, all you original Constitution haters, like and subscribe to my channel while you still have the constitutional right to do so. Also, hit the notification bell. You don't have to. It's a free country, thanks to the Constitution. And watch one of these videos so you can hate me even more. Because believe it or not, trolls, you're actually making me more popular. I love you. That's what free speech is all about.